we are here today to talk a little bit about entertainment and esports.
Yeah, yeah.
So let me tell you, Rahul, I'm very, very pleased to have you here today because,
Thank
you're the person behind one of the most exciting projects in the esports industry, to say at least. And the Unicorn has been out there way before any of the mainstream bookies were taking esports seriously. But for those who aren't familiar with a unicorn, can you tell us a bit about company's background and what makes unicorn different from other esports betting operators?
Yeah, so I think probably the biggest thing that makes us different is our people. The fact that we actually like esports, and we all play video games, and I've been in the gaming industry since way before Unicorn. Um, and because of that, we've built a platform that's the most comprehensive platform for betting on esports and video games in the world. Like, it's got more features, and you can bet on you can bet on professional esports events, but then you can also you can also watch and bet on virtual esports, which is something that we created. You can watch your favorite streamer on Twitch or Mixer and bet on them, which no one else is doing. And then and then we also created these skill-based games where you can bet on your own skill on games that you love to play. So if you like to play Fortnite or CS:GO or League of Legends, or even like any of the sports games, Madden, NBA 2K, FIFA, you can actually bet on yourself in those games, and either bet against other people or bet against the Unicorn House. It's pretty neat. Yeah.
Exactly, and especially what you said, the offering, which includes the betting on your own gameplay. It's obviously, that drives the engagement to the unprecedented degree, right? But do you think that this is the key to the future? And you as a true innovator, are there any other exciting innovations in the pipeline?
Yeah. So look, the best way I can answer that question, do I think this is a key to the future? So when we first started Unicorn, when my partner Carl and I started this company, we saw that esports was the fastest growing sport in the world. I was at Microsoft, and we saw data of users that were using Microsoft's platform, that they were using it in a way that they would watch other people play video games, right? And you and I both know that hundreds of millions of people watch esports, and billions of people play video games. And the world of entertainment has been changing. Like we witness as Las Vegas has changed over the years, where young people go to Vegas and they don't spend time betting; they go straight to the nightclub. And so we started to see those trends, and then we started to see the trends in traditional sports, where the fan base is getting older in like Major League Baseball and PGA Tour and things like that. So those trends were happening, but then all of a sudden this pandemic happens. Right? And we're freaking out. We don't know what's going on. Everything shuts down, and things just started to happen, like in a way that I would never have expected it. Like we never felt. I mean, our business was growing, but we never felt what we're feeling now, where people are changing the way that they entertain themselves. You've seen concerts online, so our favorite artists are doing concerts at home. I saw John Legend doing, a private concert on his piano. Pretty cool. And then you got movies that are coming out from the theater straight to your streaming. So you can stream, theater movies now at home. And then obviously esports has just gone like wild, because, all traditional sports completely shut down. So now, I mean, I'm sitting here, just before we got on the call, Simone, and I had like 3 VCs reach out to me, right? And
Wow.
So we've had a number of venture capitalists and funds and equity, bankers and this sort of thing reach out to us saying, yeah, we think esports is a growing area. We think esports betting is very promising. And it's like, yeah, I mean, like, welcome to the future. We're already here. It's unreal what's happening right now.
Exactly, like all this crisis like significantly boosted the profile of the esports. But there's still like a lot of when we are talking also about the traditional gaming space, there are still many bookmakers who are not bookmakers, but even the people who are rolling their eyes over the esports, the being real sports. And
Yeah.
the all crisis helps, and here we are in this booming. But let's clarify once and for all why esports are truly sports. Because before the crisis, I mean, I remember even 2 years ago, 1 year ago, there were still so many people around who were rolling their eyes like, oh yeah, the esports are sports, right? So, I mean, I think you're the right person to clarify that.
Yeah, look, I can say that yeah, you're right. There are people who roll their eyes at it, but it's almost like rolling your eyes at ping pong or darts or something. It's even not that, because there's a high level of intensity that goes into competing at the highest levels on games like Dota and League of Legends and CS:GO, where you actually have to be, like, first of all, physically fit. The more physically fit and mentally fit you are, the faster your twitch response is. You're working under pressure, you're working in teams, you're collaborating, you're leading, you're basically being a quarterback, running these teams. And so the one way that you can say esports is a sport is you look at universities. Universities started to realize that if you want to get the best students, you give scholarships for esports. And the reason is people who play games like League of Legends and Dota at the highest levels, they're very smart. They're incredibly good at math. They're great collaborators. They tend to be good leaders. They work extremely well under pressure. They're your ideal students, right? And they they tend to just be really, really, really smart. And so universities are realizing that and saying, like, holy shit, we gotta start giving scholarships for this, right? And investing in this space. And at the same time, with esports, just the viewership is growing in such a big way. It kind of qualifies as a sport. It's a sporting event because you see hundreds of millions of people watch this stuff, right? So, and not to mention the fact that a lot of younger people who watch esports don't give a crap about football or baseball or that sort of thing. This is what they love to do. So, this is kind of the future. Yeah, we've seen movies and TV shows about pandemics and like people walking around with masks and dressed up in weird ways. And yesterday I saw a guy in New York wearing a mask and like big wings, kind of like cosplay, but he's walking around the streets, and this is kind of the future that we live in. I don't know, man. I think esports is absolutely, not only is it a sport, but it's the future of where things are going.
Exactly. I think you said it in the past that exactly we should the space to spend more time with our kids, and
Yeah.
and to see what they are actually doing. Is it actually true that your son, suggested you this idea that you should actually start the esports betting company because you love play the games?
Well, my son actually said I should get into esports. He didn't say I should do esports betting. He's a bit of an idealist. So he was very young at the time when he suggested this. I think he was like 15 at the time, and he said, you should quit Microsoft and go start something in esports. He was like 14 years old, something like that. And so I started to spend time with him to learn more about it. Yeah, he got me into League of Legends and a few other games, and we've been playing competitively. And then I realized, just how big it had gotten. It kind of got away from me because I used to be in, professional gaming, right? Like as far as building the most insane computer systems in the world, I started a company many years ago that was long regarded as the world's first PC gaming company called Voodoo, which sold to Hewlett Packard. And that's where the Omen came from. It was my company's creation, and now I'm a big shareholder in Main Gear, which is a PC company that makes like these insane liquid cooled
cool
PCs with like gold fittings and stuff. I can't get my camera around here, but yeah, it's just like that.
Wow.
Like they're really just like next level liquid cooled PCs. But yeah, I'm into this type of PCs, and my son just said you should get into esports, and he got me into it. So it's been quite a run since. He didn't expect me to get into the gambling side of the business, but when you look at esports and the opportunities, there's a few opportunities. Like one is you start a team, you know, and managing teams is hard. We started a couple teams. We started an all-girl CSGO team at one time, and then we started BIG, which is Berlin International Gaming. And so we know what it's like to start a team and the work and management. It's not easy. And then there's the content space, like Twitch or Mixer. It takes a lot of work to get into that space. Running tournaments. We own our own tournament platform, the Challenge Me platform, but tournaments like Battlefy and that sort of thing. You can be a publisher. So, you know, you can try to create a game like League of Legends, which you know is hard. Or you get into the wagering space. And the wagering space is, you know, one of the most promising spaces. It's, you know, good wagering companies bring in not only revenue back into the ecosystem, but they also bring a level of integrity to the ecosystem that's badly needed. So so we decided to get into wagering, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, and talking, you know, I think let me ask you the question about the Unikoin Gold, because it's very, very important part of the innovation you did with the unicorn. So, you know, it was the world's first gaming utility token, right? And these days it's very, very well established. So you can tell us a bit more about that. But even like, when were you first were introduced to the world of the cryptos and the blockchain? Would be interested to know.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I've been in the crypto space since 2012, like, so pretty early, 2012, 2013, not like super early, but early enough.
Early enough.
Yeah, I was getting into Bitcoin at the time, and you know, just I've been a kind of a Bitcoin maximalist for multiple years. I love Bitcoin, and I always you know, I always recommend that people learn about it. And then we created Unikrn in 2015. And 2014, sorry. And then in 2015, we created Unikoin Silver, or Unikoin at the time. We created the Unikoin because we're a regulated gambling company, and not everyone in the world could use our platform. You know, at the time, we were only in Australia and the UK, but people in the US and Korea and China, like, they all wanted to use the platform. So we said, okay, let's create this coin. And we did that in 2015, and we started to create this coin economy, where people could earn coins and they could use coins on the platform, they could win prizes, that sort of thing. But you couldn't actually buy them or sell them. And then in 2017, we took that coin economy and we created Unikoin Gold. And and you know, we did this at the height of the, you know, the whole ICO craze.
Yeah.
And you know, it's been kind of it's been a great thing for us, because our platform is built on blockchain, our wallet is built on blockchain. It's very unique. It supports multiple cryptocurrencies. People, you know, they come in with UKG, or they come in with Bitcoin, and they can bet on all this stuff, and it's all a regulated platform. The tough part about it is that the whole crypto market just went up like crazy, and then crashed. And when it crashed, you know, Unikrn focuses on the growth of the platform and the usage of the platform and building, you know, customer loyalty. We don't focus on the price of the token, because that's just not what we do. It's a utility token that, you know, over time, as the usage grows, it gets more utility. And so that's been, you know, a bit of a challenge, but also it's been a very good learning experience for us. So with that being said, we do have plans for it. Like, a lot of people think that we're, you know, we don't care so much that we're not doing anything with it. That's just not true, because the Unikoin is the center of our ecosystem. We are doing something pretty significant that's going to launch sometime in July, and it's going to really highlight the usage of UKG and give it a very big platform with millions of users that are very familiar with crypto. So it should be interesting to see where it goes.
Oh, cool. And what in general, actually, back in the days when you remember you were just starting, you know, apply this technology, what it makes you to, or let's say, how make your life easier in this technology?
You mean like crypto in general?
Yeah, in general.
So how does it make your life easier? I was actually explaining this to my son last night, actually. He, by the way, this kid who got me into, you know, esports now works at Microsoft, which is funny. He got a job there. He was working there over the summer twice, and now he's working there full time as an engineer.
No way.
I'm the one who quit Microsoft to go start Unikrn. But anyway, I was talking to him last night about Bitcoin, and he asked that very same question. He said, like, why is this life changing? Why is this different from, say, using PayPal or something? So what's amazing about Bitcoin is you can have a wallet with $1 million of Bitcoin or $1,000 of Bitcoin or $10. It doesn't matter how much you have, right? And that wallet can be on a piece of paper with 12 words. The 12 words is your seed phrase that you can recover the wallet on any device later on. So in other words, the security around Bitcoin is next level, and it's crazy to think that you could walk around with a piece of paper with $1 million on it, and then produce that $1 million within a second, just by typing in those words in a specific order. And the other thing about Bitcoin that's really unique is it's unhackable. Like, it's never been hacked. As much as people like to say, oh, cryptocurrency gets hacked, Bitcoin does not get hacked. What gets hacked is people. People get hacked. People, they lose their private key, or they don't store their passwords properly.
Their wallets.
Their wallets, yeah. And so, or crypto exchanges, they get hacked. So you have to be very careful and mindful. But I'm telling you that all of that is getting better. It's changing. People are getting smarter. The technology is getting easier. And over time, the social construct for Bitcoin will only get bigger, which means people like yourself and, like younger people are all going to believe in it. They're going to support it. And therefore, with only 21 million Bitcoin outstanding, I can only imagine Bitcoin is going to be an investment that everybody should at least have some of in their portfolio.
Exactly. And back to what you said before, that you are the huge fan of the League of Legends, right?
Yeah.
So, and you're also the player, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us what title are you most excited about, especially these days, and from the kind of the betting point of view?
What you mean? What game? Or
what title? Yeah, what game?
Well, League of Legends. I mean, that's to me, that's it. Like, that's my game of choice. I play it, all the time. I bet on myself. I also watch other people play it. I mean, I have favorite characters in the game, but my favorite character is probably Fiddlesticks, and I just love that game. It's really challenging. What's cool about it is, I'm in my mid-40s and I play this game, and I know the people that I'm playing against are much younger than me, but it's always fun to play a game like that. I think the challenge with some of these games is just the communities tend to be pretty toxic, and so I've learned over time how to deal with that. I just wonder how young people do, like how to, like I have my daughter who's also into tech, who also plays games. She streams and she plays games all the time. I ask her, how does she deal with it? And she just says she just ignores it. Like, she ignores trolls, doesn't care. And if I were her age, like, in my 20s dealing with this, or even, my teens dealing with this, I would feel horrible. But kids these days are so desensitized to it. They just don't care.
And are you having your favorite streamers on the Twitch as well?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's not always Twitch. I watch Ninja on Mixer sometimes. I like Bunny Fufu. He's awesome to watch. So I watch people like that. I actually tend to watch him quite a bit because he's not only entertaining, but he also has some really good tips on how to play certain characters. So yeah, I do watch Twitch and Mixer.
And your team is based in Germany, right?
Yes.
So can you tell us about that, why in Germany, and from the geographical point of view, like what are like a hotspots or hot hubs, especially in Europe? Yeah,
so 1 in 5 Germans watch esports, and esports.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and esports in Germany is absolutely massive. And the reason that we started this team in Germany was, well, first of all, one of our employees was, lived in Germany, and actually our CTO lives in Germany. We go to Germany all the time. But these guys are just really nice. When we started BIG, we started it because the people involved are just nice guys, and they're great role models. And so we decided to help stand up that team, and we invested in them, and we were involved with them for a couple of years. but we recently divested our interest because as we grow and as a gambling company, it's kind of hard to have a 30% stake in a team that you're taking bets on, right? So we divested some of that, and and so that's what we did. But we did it because we believe in the space and supporting grassroots movements and things like that, and it's just it really was a good team at the time.
And talking about the investment, you have invested in and acquired several companies in the recent years, right? So which has been the most interesting for you?
Well, there's a couple. So one of them is Zedd, Zedd.run, which is a I don't know if you know what virtual horses are, but there's this thing where you walk into a bookmaker somewhere and you can bet on animated horses. They're fake horses. So it's like horse races that aren't, that are animated. And people do it because, there's not always horses to bet on. So, but they want to bet on like these animated horses. But Zedd is really neat because these guys, they make digital thoroughbreds that are limited and they're sold on blockchain. And so these are actual digital thoroughbreds that have limited attributes and limited and certain bloodlines and things like that. And they are they're essentially these digital thoroughbreds. You kind of see it behind me, where they look like they're from the future, and they all have, they can be bred. You can race them, you can trade them, and then you can win prizes. So basically these are limited horses on the blockchain. Some of them are more limited than others. When you race them, you win prizes in the races. And then in the future, in the very near future, you'll be able to watch the races on Twitch and you'll be able to bet on them on Unikrn. So you could be a horse owner and enter races. And if your horse wins a race, you win the prize money. But you can also be a horse owner where your horse enters into a race and then other people are watching that race and betting on the action. And it's really neat because it's kind of like if you saw the look of that horse, it's very like futuristic. Even the racetracks are futuristic. So the way it was envisioned was we wanted to create the racetrack of the future. So like, what does the Las Vegas Strip look like in the future? What does the Golden Gate Bridge look like in the future, or the Sydney Harbor Bridge? That is what Zedd is all about. And so it's very cool, and it's available today. And so that's one investment that's super interesting. The other one that's really interesting is Main Gear, the PC company I just showed you. They build some unbelievable PCs, and we just started building ventilators for the pandemic. So yeah, it's a neat company. It's a gaming company as well. Everything I do is gaming and entertainment. So
you go a little bit back to the roots with these pieces, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And what comes to my mind as well is that you started the Unikrn company with Mark Cuban, and you got also the investor as Ashton Kutcher on your board. Yeah. So it was difficult to get them on the board, or the idea sold itself?
To get them on board, no, not really. I mean, it started off with Mark, essentially. Mark Cuban was a mentor of mine when I had Voodoo and was selling it to HP. And so he'd been in touch with me over the years when I joined Microsoft. And then when I left Microsoft, I hadn't spoken to him in a couple of years, but I announced Unikrn on CNBC, and he saw the episode, and he emailed me within 2 minutes of me finishing the show, and he said, "Congratulations for Unikrn. Sounds amazing. Esports is growing like crazy." And then he basically asked, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I messaged him. I said, "Look, I would have told you, but we're way past the seed stage. It's too far along, for you. But I definitely would have told you." And he said, "Why don't you just send me the deck and I'll take a look?" And I did. And he said, "I'm in." So like within a half hour, he decided to get in on board. And then once he got on board, everybody wanted to get on board. So yeah.
It started like that. But what comes to my mind at the moment is that there's like this. As you mentioned as well, you brought the esports even to the Las Vegas, right? Through the partnership with the MGM.
Yep.
And as you said already, these traditional gamblers and even like the sportsbook partners, they are getting older and older. So how do you see the esports relating to the traditional gaming space, and where do you see it developing? Because as we all know, the millennials and all these, the esports players and, the young guys, they just don't care that much anymore about the traditional, the slot machines and traditional online games. And I see it as a struggle because, we here in the Ion News, we are covering the traditional, the gambling, esports, and even the blockchain. And I see that it's still kind of like a taboo. The traditional, the casino and sport betting operators, they don't really want to admit it. But I think, hello, I mean, it's the truth. So
Yeah.
where do you see it actually developing in the future? Because it's gonna be the problem that they will need to face it. The operators will need to face it, and especially I think that it opened their eyes a bit, during this crisis, because they are just now like
They're
they're
freaking out
trying
now.
to gather as much as possible, some, the digital entertainment alternatives like the virtual sports and the esports offering, and they are just contacting, we want to hear, we want to that, because we are losing money. So
Yeah, exactly. Look, I've been talking to casinos for years about how the slot machine area is becoming less relevant to younger people. If you walk through the slots, you'll see wheelchairs and walkers, but you won't see a lot of young people playing slot machines, because quite honestly, slot machines are boring, and it's to people who are smart and young, they look at it as a way to flush their money down the toilet. They would much rather go to the bar and spend $20 on a drink, than spend $20 on a slot machine. And so I've been pushing them to start thinking about esports and taking out some of these slot areas and maybe creating environments where gamers could come and hang out and play games, competitively, and just be comfortable in those areas. And so that was kind of the start. And then, as MGM went off and they did this deal in the Luxor where they opened up this esports, lounge or whatever in the LAX nightclub, and it's great. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful esports venue. The problem is they don't have any gambling in it, because they didn't put all the pieces together. And Unikrn powers the gambling part of it, and so people just aren't moving fast enough. And now the pandemic happens. Caesars furloughed 90% of their employees. MGM, same thing. They're all basically wondering what to do next because they have these massive hotels that are shut down. In the meantime, DraftKings goes public, and DraftKings is a sports book. They are now worth $15 billion. They went public at a $3 billion valuation. This company was at a point where it was running out of cash at some point in time, and they just struggled and they went through it, and now they're worth $15 billion. And because they have the biggest sports book in the U.S., people are investing in the future potential of the U.S. market. But Caesars and MGM are having a tough time competing against them because DraftKings it's a digital company. They're very modern and they deal with a younger audience. And now, Unikrn is getting called by all of these guys, to find ways to partner. And, we will eventually. We'll be in the U.S. with our platform at some point. We're in the process of working through some of the details in New Jersey. And then, we'll work our way across the U.S. But it's unreal how the business has changed. Like, you're absolutely correct that people aren't interested in the slots, but now they realize how bad it actually is. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, we knew we started the Ion News two years ago, and we were like, here in this geographical location, we're based in Malta, and so there are actually the Malta is doing the gaming license, and there's like the 100 gaming companies on the island. Yep. And even if it's really gaming environment, so there's so many companies. I remember 2-3 years ago, they were like looking at the esports like, what? Like, I remember those conversations with the colleagues, with the executives, with the directors. We were like, yeah, we would like to start this, the media company and the side where we're going to talk about, the esports and blockchain and the gambling, because they are very highly overlapping and it can only continue in the future. And I remember they were just looking at us like okay, the esports, and here we go. So it brings a bit of satisfaction, I think, a bit, but it was coming anyway. But what, the another question is that as we are talking about that, this all the crisis, the boosted the esports. Are you attracting those traditional sports betting?
We are. So, even though our site is very esports focused or esports first, we are attracting traditional bookmakers, clients who bet on traditional sports to try esports. The thing is, we don't have if I'm being honest, I don't think Unikrn has a really good onboarding process for traditional people to understand esports. So we're working on that. So we created virtual sports. We created streamer betting. We make it kind of easy to get onboarded. And we also launched sports. We launched sports so that those customers can come on our platform, use it for sports, and then parlay it on esports. You'll see Unikrn is going to increase the breadth of our offering over the next month or so. I mean, we're going to be like on fire, running multiple different products on our platform, still with an esports first focus. But we're going to be, a much stronger company in the next few months, especially because of the way things are happening right now with this environment. It is unfortunate that it took a pandemic to catch people's attention, and it's sad because we built this platform before this ever happened. I guess we're glad we built it before, but it's helping to entertain people who are at home now. So yeah. It is what it is.
It is what it is, actually. Yeah. And my very last question, because I don't want to take too much time of yours, as the college dropout, who has gone on massive success. What do you think? What is wrong with the current educational system? Because there is a lot of stuff wrong with that.
What an interesting question. Look, I have this discussion all the time. Again, with my son is a good example who went to college and got a degree and has this job at Microsoft because he went through this internship program in Seattle. The thing is, I didn't go. I never went to college. I followed my passion of gaming, and I started building these gaming PCs, and it ended up snowballing into something great. But now, COVID with the pandemic, it's breaking the education system. The education system is now, it's being exposed for what it truly is, which is it's mostly like a giant scam. Where unless you're studying to be a professional or you're going into like a deep level of software engineering or that sort of thing, it's kind of a scam. Like people are spending lots of money on education and they're not able to get a job. That sucks, right? That's a terrible situation to be in. And now that people are sort of at home, is it worth 50,000, 100,000 a year? Or no, right? And it's clearly not. So I think getting an education is important if you aren't sure where you're going in life. If you're if you do know where you're going and that requires you to kind of work, and experiment and that sort of thing. I always say it's a good idea to take a year off just to think, to find out what you're passionate about and then direct yourself towards that passion. So for example, if you take a year off and you think you want to help others and you want to go into medicine, you got to go to med school, right? If you take a year off and you think you want to go and start a business in something, maybe you don't need to go get that degree. Maybe you go and start that business. So it really depends on what you want to do with your life. But the bottom line is the education system is completely broken, and COVID's exposing it, just like they exposed a lot of businesses that are kind of built on a shell. So yeah.
Great response. Well, Rahul, thank you so much for taking the time to join me here today, and I'm very appreciated that you shared with us your insights into esports, and I'm sure we're gonna hear a lot about Unikrn very soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Have a nice day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.